Wednesday, March the 8th. I'm Rob Finnerty.
And I'm Allison Maloney. If I could say my name right, let's start over. You had to have a start over yesterday.
I did.
So I get to start over today.
It happens sometimes.
It's International Women's Day. We're celebrating here, wearing our purple, white, and green, and all the accomplishments that women have been making. So
yes.
Good day.
Yes, we're celebrating the accomplishments. And like I said last hour, hug a woman. Hug a woman.
If you know her.
Hug somebody you know. Don't hug
her.
a stranger. Don't be like that guy on TV told me to hug you and I held on for an extra ouch, 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 you're on my hair. No. We're celebrating this morning, though. We start in Washington, where the House Subcommittee on China will hold the first ever hearing on the origins of COVID-19 after both the FBI and Energy Department concluded that COVID came from a lab in Wuhan, China. Dr. Fauci will not testify today, although that could happen as the investigation moves forward. Florida Congressman Michael Waltz will be with us on that and the Afghanistan withdrawal in moments.
Plus, the National Transportation Safety Board launches an investigation into railroad giant Norfolk Southern after a series of accidents over the last month. NTSB says it's looking into the company's organization and safety culture.
And according to a new report, U.S. intel now believes that a pro-Ukraine group may have carried out an attack on the Nord Stream pipeline. This, according to the New York Times. The Ukrainian government is denying any involvement. More on that coming up. But first, Republicans with two key hearings today on Capitol Hill. They are both long overdue. The House Select Committee on China will look into the origins of COVID-19, and the House Foreign Affairs Committee will look into our chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan in August of 2021 and the 13 American soldiers that were killed outside Bagram Air Force Base. Joining us now for a preview is Florida Congressman, former Green Beret and member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, Michael Waltz. Great to have you back on. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Congressman, Joe Biden's approval rating dipped into negative territory for the first time right after the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan, August 2021. He's never recovered. The Taliban is now in charge there. Take us through what you're hoping to learn today.
You're going to see today leaders of these grassroots veterans organizations that sprung up from veterans who were receiving call after call from Americans that were petrified and left behind Taliban lines, and from our allies that were willing to stand and fight for that flag and die alongside our soldiers that were also being left behind. And what you're going to hear are veterans who exhausted their savings account, chartered private flights, arranged international country clearances, were literally playing God, picking winners and losers of who would get on the plane, who would get on the bus, and who would be left behind.
Yeah.
All because the State Department and the Biden administration callously, cold-heartedly, and incompetently did not do their job. And then you're also going to hear from a Marine sniper and an Army medic who are at Abbey Gate, and how these people, these Afghans, were literally throwing themselves on barbed wire to commit suicide rather than go back to the Taliban. You're going to hear how the State Department officials on the ground were kind of packing it up at 6 p.m. every day while our soldiers were out there dealing with tens of thousands of desperate people and also watching the Taliban execute people right in front of them. It is going to be emotional, painful, but also, I think, cathartic, because the entire veterans community has been demanding answers, and the Democrats in charge of the House have refused to hold hearings on this debacle.
Yeah, we surrendered our billion-dollar brand new U.S. embassy there in Kabul. But back to the 13 U.S. service members that died. The date was August the 26th outside Bagram Air Force Base. How do you try to get answers for their families today? They still have so many questions.
They do, and they have every right to be outraged that their questions haven't been answered by the Biden administration. But look, the suicide bomber that killed our 13 service members was let out of prison at Bagram Air Base just a few weeks prior. And one of the soldiers that will be with us today was a Marine sniper that believes he had that suicide bomber in his sights and yet wasn't given permission to take the shot. So this is just... we just have so many answers. This is just the start of what will be many hearings to get to the bottom of, as you said, Biden's never recovered because he ran on being compassionate and competent, and yet this was the most incompassionate, cold-hearted, and incompetent military debacle that we've had, worse than Saigon, in my view.
Congressman, just a quick one. So last July, Imam al-Zawahiri was killed by a CIA drone strike outside Kabul. He was one of the most wanted terrorists on the planet, took over for Osama bin Laden. Again, this happened in a suburb of Kabul 11 months after the U.S. left Kabul. How does that happen? Do you address that today?
You know, we'll get to the Al-Qaeda and the terrorism piece in future hearings. That's the look forward. This is about accountability for what happened and letting these groups get heard. But at the end of the day, the intelligence community is blinking red. ISIS is back, Al-Qaeda is back, and now they have a whole country with billions of dollars of our weapons. It was Osama bin Laden's dream to have a terrorist caliphate to launch attacks on the world, and that is exactly what we handed them. Oh, by the way, with a 12,000-foot runway and major airbase to fly their terrorism all over the world.
Yeah, Congressman, we'll be watching today. Today marks 6 weeks since DirecTV pulled Newsmax from its channel lineup. Do you expect hearings to happen in the next few weeks?
I'm not on that committee of jurisdiction, but I know that there are plenty of my colleagues that are fired up about this. This is censorship. This is squashing views. And my understanding is there are hearings in the works. We need to air what's happening here to squash the conservative voice and to have all kinds of voices, as we should in this great country.
Congressman Michael Waltz will be watching today. Thanks for being with us.
All right. Thank you.
All right.